Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all.
Well, okay, so why don't I, instead of holding back forever, let me talk about why I texted you. And because it was literally, I texted you after I had a conversation with a friend. I sent a text you're the first person I contacted. So what had happened was I saw the news that Leslie had been cast, and then I reached out to a friend of mine thinking he was going to be overseas. And he actually was. He had just returned to Los Angeles moments before. He had just gotten off the plane when he picked up the phone. And this is a gentleman who's an actor, and he just worked with these two directors on a feature film they shot in Paris. So he's just coming back from Paris, having filmed with them. And they had specifically cast him. They'd reached out to him. He'd actually come to me some time ago saying, I'm being approached for this role. And these two actors, like, well, these guys are great. And he already knew them. He was friends. I was like, you got to take this role. And he did, right? And so he became very close with them on this shoot. And he shared with me that he was essentially present when these decisions were being made. Like, he was in the room and he heard the phone conversations. So this is someone who's actually sitting in the room hearing them talk about this with the executives of Warner Brothers.
So what's the insight then? What's the insight?
The insight is this. The insight is this. He said, and this is just coming from him, but it's literally the guy heard it, said it had come down to two actresses, Leslie and one other. He didn't mention the name, but I think that other actress was probably Zoe Deutsch, who I think is a very good actress, right?
Yeah.
And so it had come down to them, and he heard them having this conversation with executives, and the executives were like, well, which one of them is the better actress? And they're like, look, they're both, and they said they're both incredible. These two did the best. They had a bunch of casting sessions. Said these two blew it out of the park. They just had different takes on the character, but each was an incredible. That's why it came down to these two.
I love it.
And he said, ultimately, they said, from what he heard them say, based on the script and sort of the vision that we have, of the two takes that we saw of these two actresses, we decided we're going to go with Leslie. And that's no disrespect to the other actress who was probably Zoe. They said because she was incredible. And he said never once did they talk about, well, we got to get a Latina for this because they got the Latino audience. We got to race swap. That wasn't in the conversation, and he heard the conversation. He said because Warner's was pressing them, which one is the better actress? They said these are the two best actors. These are two best actors. So we're going to decide based on the great division.
Let me pause you really quick.
Yes.
Let me pause you. So again, let us know who was in the room again. The two directors.
The two directors, Adil and Bilal, the two directors who are. And my friend, who is an actor on their movie.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
He's become good friends with them. He's become
great
friends.
That's so cool.
He was in the room when the phone call happened. And he was sat there and he listened to them having the conversation and the discussion with Warner's as to which one they should go with. And they ultimately decided we're going to go with Leslie because we feel she's right for our vision. They never once brought up race. They never once brought up we're trying to get a Latino audience. They said they said two different takes. They said these actresses each brought a unique take to the audition. And they said they were both the best takes and they were different. And we decided Leslie's a take that fits our vision of what we wanted to do with this character. No ethnicity was brought up. No racial conversation was brought up. It was about a take and about two brilliant actresses. And that's it. And he said, I'm that. And when I got off the phone with him, I immediately texted you because I knew this was already exploding in the fandom. People are like, here we go. The gingers are being disrespected. This is an agenda. This is someone who's one of my closest friends who I would, if I was being hunted by the cops, I call this guy to come save me, right? And hide me. Because that's how much I trust him. So if he says that wasn't a factor and he heard the conversation, that wasn't a factor.
How big of a deal, how big of a challenge, of a mountain is that to get the right cast for your vision?
I mean, I've experienced it. I've sat in casting sessions on my TV shows, right? And the thing is, as you know, you are with a very talented actress. Every actress brings a unique take. It's an art. It's a craft, right? I write the scene and I watch 5 different actors play it each in a way that I didn't expect. And I didn't see it when I wrote it. That's the next level of the art. Like, okay, I have my art, which is the script. Now I got to see what they're bringing to it. And their body language, their intonations, little facial tics. It all goes into your perception and they're all different. And I've been in these things where we're sitting there like, which one do we go with? Which one do we go with? Oh my God, right? And then ultimately, in the situations I've been in, it's generally been about this is the right person based on this is the vision that I have for this character. And that's totally subjective. But, you know, and I know some people in the chat are disbelieving this, but I don't. The reason I'm saying that I believe my friends saying that this was not an issue for them is because if anyone watched Bad Boys 3, that's not a woke movie. That's a very naturally diverse movie with a lot of characters of different backgrounds. It's funny. And most importantly, it's targeted to the audience. They respected the franchise. They didn't try to dumb it down or have some weirdo agendas. They said it felt like a movie that had been made by the original, you know, people of the first two movies. You know, Michael.
Let me ask you this:
Michael Bay,
when it comes down to two actors,
Mhm.
what's the level of excellence by then? I mean, probably the last 5 to 10 actors would be amazing. But
you have to be remarkable to win it down to these two. Yeah. I mean, we saw some of the other names that were thrown out there. These were top level actresses that I'd be honored to have in any of my projects, right? And by the time of this conversation, everyone said, "Okay, those are great. These are the two best." I mean, that's really hard to get at that point of the journey.
But let me ask you this: why was Leslie Grace or anyone who's not a Reddit, who doesn't look like the character, why were they even considered? I mean, I'm sure Leslie's talented, but I'm sure people are asking, why you know, whatever that vision is, why were they even considered? Why shouldn't it have just been in this?
It could have just been Zoe Deutsch type actresses, you know, white redhead, right? On one level, it's absolutely true that the casting process, people are very aware in their conversations of casting of diversity. That's an objective truth. I know because I'm having these conversations on the pilot right now that I'm doing, right? And the phrase, you know, diversity keeps coming up, and I keep telling people, it's like, yeah. And the good thing is this project will be naturally diverse, so you don't have to worry about trying to. It gets set in the Ottoman Empire, so there's all these ethnicities and people, so you don't have to worry about that. But that's the word they keep bringing up because that's in their minds. So absolutely, I'm sure at the earlier stages, a broad net was intentionally put out there for what people in the fandom can say is a political reason. They wanted to have a lot of different people come in, right? And I'm sure they didn't say this has to be XYZ ethnicity. I'm sure that's not on the casting call, right? I'm sure they actually said the opposite. You know, all ethnicities welcome. Well, so they cast a white net. They cast a white net.
Cast a white net. Directors have their vision already. You can tell they're pretty visionary with.
Yeah, these are guys, from what I was told, these are guys that plan things out. You know, they have a sense of their style. You know, Bad Boys 3 is very stylistic, right? And you can feel it. So when they were taken on for this project, they had a sense of, they weren't just going to make it up. They knew the kind of movie they wanted to make.
So with your friend,
yes,
who is in tight with the directors
with the directors, yes,
with Batgirl, the movie. Do you have any idea if the casting was based on the fact that Jeffrey Wright would be her dad because he's playing Commissioner Gordon in The Batman with Robert Pattinson?
I haven't heard that, and I don't know. Is Jeffrey Wright also guaranteed to be playing Commissioner Gordon in this movie? I'm assuming he is.
No, I'm asking you that.
So no,
if your friend had any insight,
he didn't mention that. I've heard that, you know, since we know he's supposed to be in the Batman, right? You know, if he's and he's a wonderful actor. I don't think anyone denies this. He's a wonderful actor, and if he is the same guy, then, you know, it may very well. If I'm a director and I've been told this is your actor and he's a good actor and he's coming from that movie into yours, then I gotta factor in vision. You know, do I have to explain how? And, you know, this gentleman suddenly has a white, redheaded, Irish-looking girl. I mean, I just don't know if Mr. Wright is actually officially cast. But that raises the thing. Let's say Jeffrey Wright has already been guaranteed this role and he wants it, right? Then that raises a question: why is someone like Zoe Deutsch even rising that high up, right? So that suggests to me that that again, I don't know who's been cast, but it suggests to me that this process is being guided by these directors who weren't factoring race into it at all. They weren't factoring it at all because they are the directors. So it wouldn't have gotten to these two without them okaying candidates multiple times along the tiers of the way. right? So the very fact that those two were the final candidates suggests to me that this was never a factor for these gentlemen. They were looking for the actress for their vision. I mean, otherwise, if they were like, well, he's going to be African American, we got to get African American or Afro Latino, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then why put an actress through the run all the way to the top? You wouldn't do it if you're a professional, and these guys were professional.